Gardeners are often told that the secret to healthy soil and fewer weeds is simple. Spread a thick layer of mulch over your beds and let it do the work. But the truth is that using mulch the way it's usually recommended can cause more problems than it solves. A blanket of bark chips or straw spread evenly across the soil surface can lock out air, harbor pests, and even slow down the soil's ability to breathe and build humus. The key is not to stop mulching altogether, but to rethink how mulch is used so it supports soil life instead of smothering it. By layering and placing mulch in a different way, you can create beds that stay moist, attract worms, and break down into rich fertility faster than the standard flat layer ever could. Mulch should work with soil biology, not against it. When mulch is spread in a uniform, dense layer, it creates a barrier that slows water infiltration and blocks the soil surface from natural gas exchange. While the intention is to protect soil, the result can be compacted zones beneath the mulch where oxygen struggles to reach roots and microbes. Mulch in this form also attracts slugs, pillbugs, and rodents which thrive in the protected environment. The better approach is to see mulch as food for soil life, not just a cover. If mulch is arranged in thinner, varied layers that allow spaces for moisture and airflow, it becomes a dynamic system rather than a suffocating blanket. Using mulch in layers speeds up decomposition. Instead of applying a flat 4-inch blanket, try alternating thinner layers of mulch with organic matter. For example, one layer of shredded leaves can be followed by a light layer of grass clippings, then topped with a thin scattering of straw. This layered method mimics how forest floors build soil naturally, where leaves, twigs, and organic debris fall in succession, creating a varied structure. Over time, this encourages fungi and bacteria to colonize different layers, breaking them down at different speeds and creating a steady release of nutrients. A practical ratio is 1 part green material like clippings or kitchen scraps to 3 parts brown, such as straw or dry leaves. Applied in repeating layers across a bed, this builds both coverage and fertility without smothering the soil surface. Mulch works best when concentrated around plant roots, not spread everywhere. One of the biggest mistakes with mulch is spreading it evenly across an entire bed, including areas between rows. Instead, concentrate mulch where it benefits plants most, around the root zones. Creating small basins of mulch around the base of each plant holds moisture where it is needed and reduces competition from weeds. For example, tomatoes benefit from a 4-inch mulch basin made of composted straw and shredded leaves directly around the stem, while leaving the walkways and row centers thinner or even bare allows the soil to breathe and dry more evenly. This targeted approach means you need less mulch overall, yet the plants benefit more from the moisture regulation and organic matter supply. Another adjustment is to lightly incorporate certain mulches into the top few inches of soil, rather than leaving them sitting on top. Coarse bark chips should stay on the surface, but fine materials like grass clippings, shredded leaves, or aged straw can be gently forked into the upper soil layer at a ratio of 1 part mulch to 5 parts soil. This gives microbes immediate access to the carbon and nitrogen, speeding up decomposition and creating humus directly in the root zone. By contrast, leaving all mulch on top can delay breakdown, with nutrients locked away until the material finally decays months later. Moisture control is more reliable with adjusted mulch use. Flat mulch layers are notorious for either trapping too much water during wet spells or repelling water when they dry out. By applying mulch in broken layers and targeted basins, water moves through more freely and evenly. The soil stays moist like a sponge instead of soggy or dry beneath a crust. Gardeners in hot climates often find this particularly effective, as evaporation is reduced without creating fungal issues at the soil surface. A bed treated in this way can often go twice as long between waterings compared to a bare bed, but without the waterlogging problems seen under heavy uniform mulch. Different materials need different handling. Not all mulches behave the same, and knowing how to apply each makes the difference. Straw works best in thin layers combined with nitrogen-rich additions to balance its high carbon content. Grass clippings should never be dumped thickly as they mat and rot, but when dried slightly and sprinkled in thin passes, they provide quick nitrogen and moisture retention. Shredded leaves, especially oak or maple, decompose more steadily and can form the base layer of most mulch systems. Wood chips are slow to break down and best used in pathways or as top dressing around perennials, not mixed into annual beds where they can tie up nitrogen. You know that traditional flat mulch layer actually comes from landscaping practices, not from soil science. In ornamental beds, the only real goals are to prevent weeds and keep moisture in, but in food gardens, mulch really needs to do a bit more. It has to feed soil organisms, help cycle nutrients, and support those root systems as well. By rethinking mulch as a living layer that works with biology, you can, grow healthier crops while using fewer materials. This approach is less about smothering the soil and more about feeding it gradually, ensuring every handful of mulch you spread contributes directly to long-term fertility. Mulch is still one of the gardener's greatest tools, but only if it is used thoughtfully. Abandoning the standard flat blanket method in favor of layered, targeted and integrated mulching transforms it from a static cover into an active soil-building system. This method not only saves resources but creates richer soil, healthier plants and gardens that practically feed themselves over time. If this guide gave you new insight into mulch, subscribe to Soil Doctor and share this with fellow gardeners. The more we challenge outdated methods and refine our practices, the closer we get to truly living, self-sustaining soil.